Contrary to the belief that the Mongols were only ruthless conquerors, they were actually highly strategic and innovative. They used advanced military tactics such as feigned retreats, psychological warfare, and highly efficient systems of leadership, communication, and organization to build one of the greatest empires in history. The Mongol Empire, which lasted from 1206 to 1368, was the largest contiguous land empire in history. At its height, it stretched from Eastern Europe all the way to the Sea of Japan, covering vast regions including Siberia, Central Asia, the Middle East, and parts of China and Russia. Because of the massive destruction they caused during their conquest, the Mongols are often only remembered mainly for their brutality. Sometimes entire cities were destroyed and populations were wiped out. However, focusing only on the violence that occurred overlooks the systems and strategies that made their empire so successful. In reality, the Mongols built an empire that depended on organization, speed, discipline, and innovation. Their ability to manage and control such a massive territory shows that they were not just conquerors, but also effective rulers. The Mongol Empire began in 1206 when Temujin, the son of Yasugei, was proclaimed the universal ruler of the Mongols at Akurutai, which was an assembly of tribal leaders. After this, he took the name Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler, to symbolize his authority over all Mongol tribes. Before this unification, the Mongols were divided into competing nomadic tribes that often fought with each other. Genghis Khan changed this by uniting them under one leadership. What made his rule unique was that he based leadership on loyalty and merit instead of noble birth, which helped create a more unified and effective society. He also established laws and systems to maintain order, which later became known as the Yasa. These laws helped enforce discipline and loyalty across the empire. Additionally, he created a highly organized and disciplined military structure which became the foundation for Mongol expansion across Eurasia. The Mongol army was extremely well trained and disciplined, and this training began at a very young age. Boys started learning how to ride horses as early as 3, and in some cases they were tied to the saddle by their mothers until they could ride by themselves. By 5, they began training in archery, which continued until 16 when they were recognized as full warriors. This long period of training created highly skilled soldiers who were experts in both riding and combat. Their training also included extreme survival skills. Mongol soldiers could ride for days without stopping, sleep while on horseback, and endure harsh weather conditions, including temperatures below -22 degrees Fahrenheit. These conditions could cause frostbite very quickly, yet the Mongols were trained to operate in them. Their primary weapon was the compound bow made from horn, wood, and sinew. This bow is powerful, accurate, and effective over long distances. Combined with their ability to shoot while riding at high speeds, Mongol archers could attack from a distance and avoid close combat when necessary. Their speed and independence from traditional supply lines allowed them to travel long distances quickly, making them unpredictable and difficult to defeat. One of the most effective Mongol military strategies was the feigned retreat, where they were pretended to flee in order to trick the enemies into thinking they were winning. As the enemies pursued them, the Mongols stayed just out of reach by switching horses and maintaining speed. This could continue for days, exhausting and disorganizing the enemy. Once the enemy was stretched out and vulnerable, the Mongols suddenly turned around and attacked, often with additional forces helping strike from the flanks and the rear. A clear example is the Battle of the Kalka River. During the Mongol invasion of Russia, princes gathered an army of about 30,000 troops along with their Cuman allies. The Mongols left a small rearguard of about 1,000 soldiers, which was defeated and drew the Russians into pursuit. After 9 days of retreat, the Mongols turned near Kalka River and launched a coordinated attack. The Cumans fled, causing chaos, and the Mongols won decisively. The Mongols were highly effective at psychological warfare, using confusion and fear as weapons. They often left survivors after attacks so they could spread the stories of Mongol brutality, causing fear in nearby regions, and sometimes even forcing cities to surrender without resistance, as they've heard the stories. They also used spies and informants to spread misinformation and plan attacks. This often led to confusion and panic, and along with internal conflict among enemies. In some cases, they destroyed irrigation systems, crops, and infrastructure to weaken societies long term. They also used extreme tactics like human shields to intimidate opponents. Overall, their psychological strategies weakened the enemies before their battles even began. To manage their large empire, the Mongols developed efficient communication and trade systems. The most important was the Yam relay system created by Genghis Khan. It used relay stations every 20 to 30 miles where messengers could rest, eat, and switch horses. This allowed messages to travel quickly across the empire. The system was carefully maintained and messages could be passed between riders to increase speed. Merchants were later restricted from using it due to abuse. Another major development was the Pax Mongolica. During the 13th and 14th centuries, this period created stability across Eurasia and protected the Silk Road. As a result, trade between China, the Middle East, and Europe increased, and goods, ideas, and technology spread more easily. The Mongol Empire was centralized under the Great Khan, which helped maintain unity and prevent internal conflict. Genghis Khan created the Yasa Law Code to enforce obedience, unify the empire, and establish laws and punishments. It also protected property, allowing wealth to be passed down through families. Although no full copy survives, fragments show its importance. The Khan also issued guidance called the Bilik, which provided expectations for behavior. As the empire expanded, it was divided into khanates ruled by Genghis Khan's descendants. The Mongol military was organized using a decimal system of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000 soldiers, creating a clear chain of command and strong coordination. Leadership was based on merit, allowing skilled and loyal soldiers to rise in ranks regardless of birth. Discipline was extremely strict. Soldiers who retreated without orders or failed their comrades could be executed, and looting before victory was also forbidden. Each soldier carried standardized equipment such as bows, arrows, axes, and ropes, while some used specialized weapons like hooked lances. They also maintained their weapons carefully to stay battle-ready at all times. Overall, the Mongols are more than just conquerors. They were strategic empire builders who combined advanced military tactics like psychological warfare, along with strong political systems, as well as efficient communication networks to create stability and connection across Eurasia, and demonstrated how organization and innovation can build long-lasting power.